we have to create this stillness in the mind, because when there's stillness, the mind isn't active, and we actually can go, hang on, this is not smart enough. That doesn't feel true anymore. I can see a lot of evidence to support that I am smart enough. So, and in that moment of that stillness, we can actually shift that belief. We can actually change that whole neural construct there. We just so program. The mind is designed to keep us moving so quickly that we never stop long enough to realize it's the mind that is making us crazy and sending us up the garden path. It wants to stay in control. It wants to stay active. It doesn't want the light of awareness shined on it, because then it's like, oh my God, you've seen me. You've seen me for the illusion that I am. I'm going to lose control. It doesn't want that. It wants to be who we think we are.
Welcome to today's episode of Influence by Design. I'm your host for today, Samantha Riley, and today we're going to talk about a topic which absolutely speaks to every single one of us as coaches, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, and that is our mindset. And as you know, if you listen to this show often, mindset's a word that I don't use often. I've talked about why I don't like it. I don't think that our mind is set. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today with my lovely guest, Daniel Rechnitzer. So welcome to the show, Daniel.
Oh, thank you, Samantha. Great to be on, and hello to everyone listening and watching.
I'm so looking forward to this conversation because you and I met for coffee the other day and chatted for hours and hours and hours. And I just know that this is going to go exactly where it needs to go. But I guess the idea that I want to bring to today's show is that, you know, as experts, we've got this amazing opportunity to create successful, profitable, purposeful, fulfilling businesses. Yet, as expert that we are, you know, we've got all of these skills, all of these knowledge, you know, past experiences. We've also got this little voice in our head that says, I'm not good enough. I'm not, I'm not smart enough. I don't know how to do this. I'm not, I'm too this. I'm not enough of this.
Yeah.
I'd love you to start, like, what do you want to say right off the bat to that?
Well, we have been accumulating an identity ever since we were, in the womb. We have been trying to figure out, who are we? What are we? And we've been taking the cues from the people around us, what they say, how they feel, what they think. Been taking cues as we grow up from how whether our grades are good and whether we're successful or not. And over all these years, we've accumulated an identity that's based upon beliefs. We've decided things about ourselves. We've made these conclusions, and all these beliefs and these conclusions and all our experiences now form who we believe we are. But Sam, none of that is real. Our whole identity is based on beliefs. And this is what gets so interesting is, so, we're wanting to be successful, we're wanting to contribute, we're wanting to be purposeful, but this identity is shaping our reality from the inside out. It is affecting our thoughts, the ideas we attract, our physical well-being, our relationships, and what we're able to manifest and create. So, if we're truly wanting to go beyond, our limits and achieve things we haven't even imagined or conceived of, we have to start clearing or being even aware that this identity that we're carrying around isn't who we are.
You know what's really weird, and I find this to be the strangest thing ever, is that often, I'll be chatting to a client, and I've even had this happen with myself, where there'll be this thing that comes up, like, why can't we do this? I'm not smart enough, or, I'm afraid of, and insert anything under the sun here.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
Let's go with you're not smart enough. And, I feel like that I'm going to be, crucified if I tell the world that, this is the thing. And then when you really go, but do you really believe that? Like, are you smart? And the person goes, yeah, I am. What's going on with that gap? Because this is always really intrigued me, that people will hold themselves back from taking action because of one of these beliefs. Yet when you really question it, they're like, actually, no, that's crap. And I know I'm smart.
Yeah, what happens is these belief systems are in the subconscious mind. So we're not really consciously aware of them. We're consciously aware of how they make us feel: inadequate, insecure, fearful, anxious, withdrawn, hesitant. We are aware of their impact, and because we feel that pain, we move through life quite quickly to overcome the pain. We try and be successful, or we distract ourselves. So we're often moving so quickly that we don't stop long enough to go, hang on, that's not even true. Like,
Mm,
and it is when you stop long enough, and this is why one of the big things we teach, and you'll hear it in the enlightenment world, and the awakened world, is we have to create this stillness in the mind, because when there's stillness, the mind isn't active, and we actually can go, hang on, this is not smart enough. That doesn't feel true anymore. I can see a lot of evidence to support that I am smart enough. So, and in that moment of that stillness, we can actually shift that belief. We can actually change that whole neural construct there. So, yeah, we just so programmed. The mind is designed to keep us moving so quickly that we never stop long enough to realize it's the mind that is making us crazy and sending us up the garden path. It wants to stay in control. It wants to stay active. It doesn't want the light of awareness shined on it, because then it's like, oh my God, you've seen me. You've seen me for the illusion that I am. I'm going to
mm,
control. It doesn't want that. It wants to be who we think we are.
mm-hmm. So, how do we start to shift that illusion? Because
Mm.
it's a lie, right? You
Yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
stillness, sitting and meditating for 10 minutes a day. Is that the be all and end all? Is that going to change it?
Well, I don't think there's any one way that's the be all and end all. As nice as we'd love to say, that's
Oh,
it.
but come on, we want the magic pill, right?
Well, I've created something nearly as a pill. We can talk about that. I feel that there's several little steps. Number one is having the knowing, like, okay, I'm carrying around an identity and it's not the truth. Boom, that's the first step. Let's just have an awareness that this is thing, because who knows that? Like, how many people know that their identity isn't real? Like, we believe in it. We even defend it, right?
Mm.
Step number one is just coming to this new awakening. I mean, you weren't taught it at school. Imagine if you turned up in primary school and said, oh, by the way, Samantha, you know how you think you're a failure, unloved, unwanted. That's not true. Like, we don't get taught that, right? So that's definitely step one, because that then activates the next level of awareness, which is, okay, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling? Am I feeling inadequate? Am I feeling insecure? And then let's bring an awareness to what is generating that. Oh my God, that's right. I feel like I'm about to fail. I feel like I'm a disappointment. I'm reenacting these experiences and these beliefs that happened to me many years ago. Having that awareness is the key. Then the next thing, I mean, we teach, and we've been teaching for years, how to go into the subconscious mind and clear out these limiting beliefs. And we use a couple of really powerful tools. One of them is what we call truth. We have limitless truth within us, the answers within, that the higher true self within, and that is a source of truth. And when you can tap back into truth, it helps dissolve those limiting beliefs. And I mentioned with you when we were out, I was shown, like, I kept putting out to the universe, how do we have thousands of these beliefs, but how do you clear them? And I'd love to talk to you about the enlightenment to heal the subconscious mind. So when we're ready to talk
Absolutely.
about that, we can. Yeah, that's super fun. So, having the awareness that they're even there, starting to bring an awareness to your day. Am I being driven by the beliefs, like I'm going to miss out, I'm going to run out, people won't be impressed with me, or I need to please people? Having an awareness as to, are these beliefs in full effect on me right now? Or am I in a nice still space and are making decisions from a space of stillness and self-love. So you're
Mm,
learning to shift what space are we coming from in any moment. That's
mm.
really key.
Absolutely. Love it so much. So, I was listening to a podcast the other day and he was talking about the brain waves when you first wake up and as you're going to sleep are because you're changing state and the brain waves are going from, and I'm not a techie person here, but something, alpha, gamma, beta. I actually don't know very much about it.
Yeah.
But do you use these different states? Like, is that for you something that is more important, or is that a time of the day that you meditate, or you're kind of just no, we're going to do anything at any time when it feels good for us?
I think it's that one. Definitely that one. So, there are definitely times in the night where you wake up and you're more perceptive. Like even last night, I was in this like dreamlike state, and I'm having a full conversation with, the consciousness, and it's giving me all these answers. And I was very aware of it in this dream. But since early on, we've learned how to induce ourselves, if you will, into different brainwave states, into alpha and theta, and really deep. It just depends on what result you're wanting. Like when we go into the subconscious mind, we're not waiting for a particular time of day. We have a specific training that allows us to bring in that space into that frequency when we're looking at healing the body. Again, that level of awareness is on cue, on demand. And I even go into, this might be a bit too much information, but I go into different dimensions, because
Mm-hmm.
different dimensions allow me to create different things and see different things. We even teach people how to go into a dimension where there's no time, so you can actually see, well, if I take this decision, what's the outcome? If I take that decision, what's the outcome? Because the mind, the way we experience life through the lens of the mind is really dumbing down what's possible for us. And when you learn how to go beyond the mind to see reality without the mind, you'd be amazed at what we can access. I mean, we can talk to different parts of the body to find out what healing they need or why an illness is there. Like I said, we can move into time, into spaces of awareness where there isn't time, so we can see where we're heading and outcomes and changing trajectories. We can connect with lots of different energies, lots of different information. And it's just the mind is really holding us back in so many ways in terms of our perception.
Mm. What's interesting is our minds are holding us back in the ways that you're talking about there, but it is the thing that's also going to move us forward. So you mentioned that really we need to get an awareness of what that thing is. What if you don't even have an awareness of what's holding you back?
Mm, mm. Well, it's time to have one. um, we are all on a journey of raising our awareness. Some of us have this ability where we could step into a car and we can feel if a spouse is angry at us, or we could walk into a house and we can feel whether there's been an argument. Um, or as a mother, oh, I know there's something wrong with my child. So awareness is something that's growing within all of us. That is part of our evolution. Now, as to how much you want to grow that awareness is really what the exciting journey is. And that's really where we take people at Intuition Wisdom, is how far do you want to go? I'll give you an example. This
Mm-hmm.
might be challenging for some people, but this is what's possible. So when my wife was pregnant with my son 14 years ago, she was absolutely terrified of giving birth. She was petrified of the pain, as most women are. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you get taught, right? You see
Uh-huh.
women, screaming. So she actually brought her awareness and heightened it to a level. She began connecting with the soul, my son in her belly. She was, 3 months pregnant or 6 months pregnant, and she could communicate with him. And he actually showed her, and she wrote all this down, step by step, how to have an all natural pain-free birth. And
Wow.
and yeah, and this dialogue between them actually turned into a book. I said, oh man, you've got to share that with people. So word for word, every day she sat and brought that information through. And then she had an all natural pain-free birth with him and an all natural pain-free birth with my son. So we can take our awareness into all different areas. We can then heighten our awareness to perceive the contents of the subconscious mind. We can heighten our awareness to, I had someone the other day, I'll share this with you. So a very close couple of ours called me up and said, my dad's in hospital, he's in a coma, which is very sad. And they think he's going to go in any minute, right? And she said, can you find out what's going on? Because she knows this is kind of what I do. I have a very heightened awareness and I can access information and connect to lots of different things. And I could connect to him in this coma space. I could connect to his consciousness. And I asked him and I said, what's going on? And he said, I'm embarrassed. Right? He's talking to me through my awareness. He goes, I'm embarrassed. I said, what's wrong? He goes, I don't want people to see me like this. Like what? He says, I'm not going to die while everyone is sitting around me in the hospital. So they're waiting for him to die to move on. They're going, why isn't he going? And he said to me, he said, when they leave, I will go. I'm embarrassed. So I told them that, and it's very hard for them to hear that. They want to be there in the last moment. And they finally left. And within something like 6 or 8 hours of them leaving, he left. He allowed himself to move. So awareness gives us the ability to see the unseen, know the unknown, and answer the unanswered, solve all these mysteries in life. So if you don't have a huge awareness, number one, I'm going to challenge you and say, I bet you have more of an awareness than you think.
Yes.
And I'll encourage everyone to start, cultivating, heightening that awareness to perceive these subtle frequencies of intuition or these subtle frequencies from people around us, because it changes our life and it can save our life. I mean, how many times, Sam, have you met people, could be a salesman, a real estate agent, or a car salesman, you're like, oh, I just don't get a good vibe from this person.
Yeah, totally.
That's awareness, right? That's awareness. But then there's another awareness that tells you, oh, I'm having an awareness, right? So you need to know that that's what's going on, because it's there to save our life and it's there to help us prosper. And I often think, if you look at Queensland, for example, where they pretty much chopped down every single tree that ever existed in Queensland 60 years ago or 80 years ago, if they had an awareness that, these are pretty important things, maybe we shouldn't do this. So if we had a greater awareness, there's a lot of things that we wouldn't do in our own life. And there's a lot of things that we wouldn't do as a business or as a planet. We just wouldn't do some of these things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Now you've mentioned frequency a lot, and I was very first brought to this or given this idea many, many years ago, and I can't remember the name of the book, but you probably know what it is. I'm a very visual person, so I can see the cover of it and can't remember the name of the title. But, it's essentially that the different frequencies are different emotions or different things that are going on in our life. How much, I guess, knowing that, what do we need to pay attention to, or what do we need to know about the frequency of what we're feeling as we're going through this awareness stage and really paying attention to the feeling? What can you talk about in relation to frequency?
Sure. So you mentioned a lot of very interesting aspects there. So I'm going to try and touch on all of those. So one of the things that people don't know is, we can look at a mobile phone and go, that's sending a frequency. We can look at a radio station, go, that's sending a frequency from the transmitter to the radio, and that's that. The human brain is one of the most powerful broadcasting stations there is. It is always using frequencies. Now, there's a couple of really important frequencies that we experience. One is thoughts. Thoughts are an energy or a frequency, and different thoughts have different frequencies. So if we look at positive thoughts, such as I'm great, I'm wonderful, I love myself, I support myself, I back myself, I nurture myself, they're what we call a very positive or high vibrational frequency. Then there are thoughts that we call low vibrational frequencies, like I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I hate myself, I loathe myself, I wish I wasn't here. There, and on the other end of the spectrum, low vibrational frequencies. Now, they're really important because the physical body and the brain is very sensitive to frequencies. And we all know this on an experiential level. If we think positive thoughts, we feel good. So the body responds positively. And if we think of negative thoughts or have negative thoughts, the body is reacting to those. So our feelings show us how these different frequencies affect us. So if you think, for example, Sam, let me just say, you think, oh, I'm a failure, I've screwed everything up in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't feel good, right? That's really against what the body wants to feel. And it's a non-truth. And anything that's a non-truth really hurts our body. If you think something like, I am loved and adored and I cherish my beautiful family, right? The body really can feel that and loves that. So what we're learning and what the body is there to show us is to say, if you are going to spend time in high vibrational frequency thoughts, self-loving thoughts and praise and all of that stuff, you will go further in life. You will enjoy life and you will create more and excel more than if you spend time in these low frequency thoughts such as doubt, insecurity, scarcity, and self-hate. So that's a really important to realize, is that the body is affected by different frequencies. And this also, for many people don't realize, this is where we get a lot of illnesses, and why we age the way we do is because not only do our immediate thoughts, like, how do I feel today, affect us, but the subconscious mind is carrying around a recording of every thought and every belief and every decision and every conclusion we've ever had about ourselves. And for most of us, they're not positive.
Mm.
Yeah. So we are holding ourselves in this lower frequency, which is making us age, making us tired, and it's causing illness. Like some of the worst illnesses are from these dense clusters of beliefs that are stored inside the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind stores itself in the body. So these frequencies are really affecting us. So where we're at now, I mean, you're constantly hearing of people with illnesses and, severe things. And this is because we haven't, as a society, had the awareness of, well, what's in our body? What am I carrying around since I was, a child? I've been carrying around this anger, this resentment, this self-hate since I was a tiny little kid. That's toxic stuff to the body, carry that stuff around for 30, 40, 50 years. So we are moving into a space where the way to heal and prevent a lot of these illnesses and relationship breakdowns and child issues and all that stuff, we're coming to the point where we do need to have an awareness of what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what we're carrying. And feelings are really important because they're actually showing us not who we are, not what's true about us, but they're showing what thoughts feel like in the body, what we're holding, what we're carrying in. So it's really powerful to be aware of feelings, because they're saying, hey, the reason you don't feel good is because you're holding these thoughts and these frequencies that are not serving you. So I'm not sure if I answered, if I went where you wanted me to go there, but
Oh, look, as I said before, I don't know where it's going to go, and I just trust that it's going to go in the right place. But as you were talking about that, it's really, when you talked about the negative words, like I could really feel that. It was so heavy in my body.
yeah.
When you talked about the good words and the self-love, I felt really light. And when we think about what we need to do on a day-to-day basis as an entrepreneur, like we need to be in a creative state. We need to be, able to connect with other people, connect to ourselves. We need to be in this place where we're able to do what we need to do to take our business in the way that it needs to go. This stuckness is what really holds us back. Yet I also know that it can creep in. It can be a slow burn. And for me, and for many other people through, 2020, 21, 22, it crept in. And all of a sudden we're like, oh my goodness, like I can feel this, I can feel this heaviness. And, we're definitely out the other side, but there's still some lurking things that can
Yeah,
pop in every now and again. What
lingering.
can, oh, 100%.
Mm,
What can we do to really bring back that high vibrational frequency so that we can really show up in the best way possible?
yeah, yeah. Now, it's a really, I mean, there's a workshop just answering your question. There's a book on that. Um, so let's talk about some things that people can do immediately, and
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about things that make the really big lasting change.
Mm-hmm.
So, a couple of really important things are, one, the more time we spend in higher vibrational things or places, the more we are going to resonate at that level. So when we look at things that are made of nature, so the ocean, the trees, the forest, the more time we spend in that, the higher the vibrational frequency that we'll be able to maintain. So anything that's kind of created from the mind, cities, traffic, social media, right? Some of these things, add a lot of advertising and all that stuff, the news, that's a lower frequency because it's coming from that ego mind. So if we kind of avoid more of that stuff, then we won't get dragged down by it. And I think the big problem over that whole period of time from 20 to 2022 and 20, we were all watching the news, right? We were like stuck. What's next? What's happening? So we were really into that reality.
Really sucked into that reality. Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. And we thought our survival and our well-being depended on it. So they really got us good on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So watching, are we putting ourselves in high vibrational frequency areas, nature and so on? And are we avoiding the low things? Are we around people that are bringing a very high vibrational frequency, or are we around people that are not? Foods are the same thing. There's very high vibrational frequency foods, fresh, healthy, nutritious things versus fried, processed, packet stuff. That's kind of the everyday stuff to be careful of. The next level is, what am I thinking? What am I saying to myself? Am I choosing the self-loving path and saying, picking myself up if I don't get something right? Or am I punishing myself? Am I criticizing myself? Am I condemning myself? Those kind of words do not improve us. They do not give us more motivation. They just lower us down. If we kick ourselves when we're down, not good. So we're going to have an awareness around, are we being praising, supportive, nurturing, self-loving? And so that's kind of what's a bit of our toolkit, and choosing to do loving things for ourselves. Are we going to slog ourselves all day today and try and get more money, or are we going to go, I'll take it easy, I'm going to spend some time in the national park and I get a massage and I'm just going to sit and look at the beautiful world around me? Like, doing things that we love and that are joyous is really important. And then if you really want to get into the advanced stuff, so that's all the stuff that we teach as well. How do you clear out the subconscious mind? How do you work through all these belief systems and remove those so they're not dragging you down? And Sam, one of the biggest areas that people don't even know about, and it's kind of been a pretty recent thing for me as well to understand the importance of it, is what holds our energy down more than anything is actually childhood trauma.
Mm.
So if we've gone through whatever forms of abuse, shock, any kinds of trauma as a child, that is stuck in the body. It's in our cellular memory. And so what I've come to understand, there's nothing that is affecting our frequency, our vibrational frequency, our beingness, more than trauma. So if you really are wanting to go, you know what? I want to make a big shift in my life. I want to raise my vibrational frequency. I don't want to be carrying around, you said these things that creep in, that you relive, that play back over and over in your head. If you want to get rid of that stuff, it's based in the trauma. It's based in healing the trauma. And that's something we've just done a recent trauma healing workshop, which was mind-blowing. It just stops the nervousness, the anxiety, the fears, the doubts, because that's where it's coming from. Like, it's coming from what we learned as a child or what we
Mm.
experienced as a child.
Totally. Now, I know that you also have created a physical product that helps with this. I don't know much about it, but I would love you to share, like, A, what it is and like how this came to be.
Okay, cool. So there's two now. I mean, yeah, we've just launched another one, but I'll share the first one because it's right where what we're talking about. So this is called, I'm not sure if we're all just podcasts, if you can.
Some
Um,
people will be listening, some people will be able to see it. So you might
okay,
need to
cool.
explain it a little bit for those
I'll
that are listening.
describe it in all its detail. Okay, so I'm holding up what is essentially a copper box with some very special glass and ingredients inside of it. There's no batteries, there's no electricity, but it's generating a very powerful frequency. Now, this frequency is actually is perfect for pulling out and clearing the beliefs, the traumas, the memories that we have accumulated throughout our lifetime. And where this came about is it was pretty much during those last few years. I don't even like using that C word. So
We don't
last
talk
few
about it
years,
here.
yeah, yeah, those last few years of craziness. And I was doing I've been doing loads of healing on myself and helping people for years and years. And it was very clear to me that as a human being, we are carrying around literally thousands and thousands of subconscious beliefs. And you can see in the book you've got in front, just in the contents, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So we have so many of these beliefs. I'm not wanted, I'm not respected, I'm not needed, I'm not heard, I'm overlooked, I'm not important, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, how do we get through, these thousands? Like, it's a big job clearing one at a time. It's going to take a while. So in my meditations and putting it out there to the universe, I started to get shown. I went on this incredible journey, Sam. This was amazing. I started to go to this journey of looking at space and being shown that every star became really amazing. Every star is actually a different frequency. We kind of look at stars and go, oh, yeah, that's bright, that's small, that's blue, that's yellow, whatever. But they actually are all very purposeful in emitting a frequency. And that frequency could be anything from a self-love frequency, could be a healing frequency, it could be a success frequency or an encouragement frequency. Whatever idea the universe has had is being conveyed through this light. Light is intelligence, light is awareness, light is genius. And so I started to be shown that there are certain stars that are actually supporting our life on planet Earth. Obviously, our sun, pretty critical to our well.
Very, very critical, actually.
That's right, very critical. As I'm looking outside with this beautiful light, and nothing would exist without it. So we know stars are pretty important, but there are other stars that surround us that are also emitting a frequency that throughout history, civilizations have known about. And I never really studied this stuff. If you're into astrology, you'll have a pretty good grasp. And I was shown that there's one particular star. It's called Sirius.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know about this stuff, but this is what I'm being shown in my meditations. Like, there's a star out there that plays a role in evolving human consciousness and fast tracking it. And I was shown how to create, almost like, if you will, an antenna, like how to connect to this frequency, bring it down and amplify it for people to use. And it's already hitting us, it's already coming onto the planet, but all of these things are kind of filtered and gentle by the time they've gone through, a thousand light years or whatever it is. They're quite gentle. So this was a way I was being shown how to create. It's almost like a modem, an antenna to ground that frequency. So this device here, that is a copper box for those of you who can't see, with some beautiful things inside, actually is a way to connect to that energy. And it is so powerful in holding us accountable to being in our own truth. So when I hold it here, and I'm happy to do a demo with you, Sam, if you want, but I'm not sure
Oh,
how much
yeah.
time we've got. When I hold it here, we talk about going to the different brainwaves. It immediately takes me into this very still, very super aware brainwave. And I can start feeling and perceiving in my body blockage, belief, 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 blockage, blockage, blockage. And it just brings them into my awareness because we've spent a life pushing them down. We don't want to know
Hmm.
about them.
Yep.
Don't
Yep.
tell me
No, go away. We don't want to know you.
I don't want to. Don't tell me I'm a failure. Don't tell me I'm a loser. Don't tell me I think all these things about myself. Let's just pretend they're not there. So this is a way to heighten our awareness. I guess it's like, you get a paper bag. If you grease up a paper bag and you get a cross on, you grease it up and you can see into the paper bag.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that's what this is. It's kind of like giving you this transparency as to what we're holding in the subconscious mind. And having an awareness is like 50% of the healing, if not more. And then we can use that energy to pull it up and withdraw that out of us. So that's what this is. This is called the Enlighten Me Machine. We launched it late last year to our database, and it's becoming, we're launching it more and more this year. And it's just so powerful. Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah. So the Enlighten Me is a tool for us to know what's in the subconscious mind and clear what's in the subconscious mind. And we've been using it on children, we've been using it on animals, we've been using it to heal business blockages, financial blockages, healing blockages, manifesting blockages, and we've been using it to heal intuitive blockages because we have reasons and beliefs that stop our intuitive capability. So we use it. We've been using it for so many things, and that was the big part of our trauma healing. We use that to pull out these clumps of trauma that are energy stuck in our body. So it's been so super helpful.
I love that so much. I love it so much. I think that, you've talked about this awareness. I think that as coaches, most of us have an awareness where, that is why we do what we do. However, these things still slow us down and stop us in our tracks every day. And I say us because it's me as well. We're humans having a human experience, and no one is perfect, but that is the perfection in itself.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, we are all dealing with the human condition, which is we came into these bodies and we took on these beliefs like everyone else was taking them on, and we went, yeah, I can be an I can be a mind, I can be a this, I can be a that. Sure, that's what's going on around here. I'll take it all on. And so, as a child, we come in completely like free and neutral and infinite. But then we start going, yeah, that's me. I'll take some of that. I'll identify with that. I'll identify with this. And then by the time we're in our 30s and 40s, we start having these reactions. It's like whether it's illness or aches or pains or scarcity or relationship breakdowns or struggles, because all these identity traits that we were so like frivolous in collecting and now showing up to be, oh my God, that's not even me. No wonder it's hurting. So we're trying to live this expansive life, but we're living it through the constraints of the mind, of the filter of all the identity.
So for people that are like, okay, I've known this for a while and it's time to move some of this stuff. It's time for me to step into the version of me that I know that I'm here to be, and to really take my business to the next level, take my life to the next level. And they want to, they're interested in what you've been talking about. What can they do to take the next step?
Oh, brilliant question. Well, I would suggest come to intuitionwisdom.com because we have these key paths to accelerate that process. You can use the Enlighten Me machine to just fast track. I mean, you can clear like 100 of those blockages in like 15 minutes. We have the courses where you can go into your subconscious mind and reprogram one at a time if you like. We have paths that will just, depending on what you're up for, like how big is your appetite, how big is your eyes, how far do you want to go, we have the path there. And that's it. And we take everyone wherever they're at, whether they're just beginning or quite advanced, like your coach is listening. We can take people to infinity and beyond. Just depends on what people are up for and what they're ready for.
Infinity and beyond. Let's do it. Daniel, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you today. highly recommend Daniel and his work. So go and take a look. The links are over there on influencebydesignpodcast.com. And Daniel, thanks so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us today.
Oh, Samantha, it's my absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me, and I hope to see everyone on at Intuition Wisdom soon.